Greetings again, and we are back again to talk Manchester United. It's our night show, of course. After the end of the Africa Cup of Nations, we are back to 10 p.m. That's our usual time. It's our normal time. We had moved to 11 p.m. because of the Africa Cup of Nations. Let me just work on my light a bit. I do welcome you to the United Hotspot. My name is Webb. How are you doing? Well, big news to talk about Manchester United today concerning our transfer talk, which players we are linked with, and who exactly we could be bringing in the summer. Fabrizio Romano has given an update. Of course, when it comes to transfers, he's the kingpin. We all certainly rely a lot on his rumors and speculations and all the talk he gives. We'll talk about him in a bit. Let me just even get my hat on, because I feel like I'm in the mood. I put on this hat when I feel like I'm in a good mood. I'm in a good mood, of course, if we do go so many games on a run, winning game after game, and our best striker Rasmus Højlund is breaking records that have been there since the start of time. Certainly I'm going to be happy and impressed about that. But let me know, of course, how you're feeling as a Manchester United supporter. I'm certainly elated by the fact that there is a lot of news concerning this club, and there is a lot of stuff for us to talk about. Well, I can't even check my face properly. I know many of you would want to look at my face, not just listen to me talking and my voice and what have you. So let me just give this face of mine more light for you so that you get to see who is talking to you. I think that's a little bit better. I'll reduce it a bit. Yep. There you go. Welcome to the United Hotspot. It's showtime. My name is Webb. Now, a lot concerning Manchester United to be discussed today. Well, there is quite a number of things that we will look into, including Facundo Pellistri, who is start getting off the mark at Granada. He did score and assist for the first time for Granada. We'll talk about him and how he's faring that side, but also I've still been watching a replay of our game against Aston Villa, and I was looking at critically at my favorite Kobe Mainu, and I was trying to think about what exactly could be going on. Could he be having tired legs? Does he deserve a bit of rest? We can talk about that. Of course, it's a difficult thing to imagine that we can even think about benching or resting Kobe Mainu for any reason, because the state we are in, we need every player to fight like a man, to be able to push us as far as they can. Top 4 is the target, the FA Cup title, but top 4 is the main focus. Of course, Opta stats suggests that even the 5th place team in the Premier League is likely to be in the Champions League. But for United, top 4 is always going to be the ultimate. We need to be, at least for now, in the top 4. Of course, it should be winning the title, but I think realistically, right now, that's not for us. But top 4 is extremely possible, and if you look at that table there, I'll leave it permanently on the screen until the next games are done. But that's where we are. If you look, Manchester United is the only team that has got a goal difference of 0. So you realize what I was saying. We are scoring many goals. Højlund scoring for fun. Game in and game out is on target. But we are conceding almost as many, exactly as many as we score. We scored 33 goals and conceded as many. That means a goal difference of 0, which is bad, considering that the teams we are competing with have got goal differences of 32 for Liverpool. That's 31 for Manchester City. You look at you look at Arsenal, 31 as well. Tottenham is 15, and Tottenham are a consistent team. Then Aston Villa has got a goal difference of 18, and then there we come with a goal difference of 0, of nothing. And in the Premier League, you know that goal difference matters a lot. That's why it's very important in the stats in the Premier League. So it's not exactly the most exciting place to be, but it isn't the worst either. We are improving, and for me, that should be the most important thing for anyone who has watched this Man United with all fairness and honesty about who exactly we are. So so that's what we'll look at. Fabrizio has given an update on a couple of players that we've been linked with, talking of the likes of Jeremy Frimpong, who are still on the radar for Manchester United. He's spoken of Tapsoba, who has been another target for Manchester United, and how the interest is still there. But all we are waiting for now is the decision from whoever comes in as the director of football of Manchester United on whether we stick with the plan that Erik ten Hag had before this whole takeover situation, or there could be a change in plan. Luke Shaw, I gave you earlier in the morning that update on Luke Shaw and his injury situation and how we could be hoping to cope without him, and also how long should we expect him to be away. Very important, because he's an extremely important player for us, and as we've proved. That's quite a lot of stuff to talk about Manchester United today. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome aboard. I am Webb. And yeah, again, I do remind you that because the AFCON is done, we are back to 10. You know that AFCON games have been starting at 8 and at 11. And we had to respect, this tournament. I mean, as the hot spot, because there is a lot that has been going on in that tournament. But the AFCON is done, so we are back to 10 o'clock. I never want to keep people, up for long. For people who are watching from the same time zone as me, where 11 is a bit late. I've always been feeling for you. I never want to keep you up for so long. But yeah, we will certainly go back to the time of 10. So I might be an hour earlier today, but it's intended. It's not by mistake that I'm an hour earlier today. So I hope the people, our usual people, the likes of Edmond, the likes of Chris, the likes of Sendway, I hope they don't miss the show. They could have set their timers for 11 and be shocked that the show is earlier today. So let's get into this talk. So one of the things I've found, and I've explained my reasons in my video, the earlier video. I will not repeat myself, about Diogo Dalot, who I think is our most improved player at Manchester United, and the talk of us bringing in Jeremy Frimpong to come and boost the right back, unless we think about selling Aaron Wan-Bissaka, which I still think we don't need to do, because I think Bissaka is multi-purpose. He has proven that he can play good as a left back. So you don't want to disorganize what you are trying to build with these players. I think our right back department, with Wan-Bissaka fit and Dalot fit, is decent enough. We've got more serious areas to worry about in the summer to try and sort. So and if you talk about bringing in Todibo, there's no need for us then to be spending 34 million on Jeremy Frimpong, because his current contract dictates that in the summer his 34 million buyout clause can be triggered. He's only 23. You wonder how he has such a cheap buyout clause, by the way. Yet he's one of the important players for Bayer Leverkusen. But I hope they also don't rush to try and tie him down. So we'll talk about all those. But Facundo Pellistri has scored. He scored and assisted against Barcelona. That was yesterday. And you do remember that when he went on loan, his agent was not happy about how he was treated, by Erik ten Hag. His agent came out and said that it was a 3-all draw between Granada and Barcelona at the Camp Nou, which he thought was a good result for them. And he did score the second, and he assisted the first as they in that game for Granada. Very important stuff there. What a good way to get off the mark against a big team like Barcelona in the Camp Nou. Put on such a performance, it's obviously going to boost your experience and all. But his agent was not happy about how Erik ten Hag treated him, and he said he was unprofessional in how he handled his player. But I think now that's in the past. We focus on these players on loan and how they are doing. We know how our Getafe boy Mason Greenwood is performing. There's no doubt. There's no doubt in his abilities. He has proven that even after being out of football for some time, he will come back and put on performances to envy for every other club. But sad that we who own the player are there undecided on what we want to do. We are in corridor talk and all our hypocritical feelings about him. Yet the boy is balling for fun. But Pellistri's loan, I feel, can be cut short in the summer. I feel. If we are not going to bring back Mason Greenwood, which could happen, I think Pellistri is a player we can bring back. And the fact that he has started well at Granada, you think it can only get better after here, hoping that he keeps fit. So I think the young players who are the future of this club are looking good. They are performing, they are putting in shifts. And that's why, for me, it's very important to be careful with who we try to bring in and add to this team, to this lot. We don't just go into these so many players that sound exciting, but may not be the right tomatoes to add on to our pack, our basket, because our basket is looking fresh now, and it only needs a few maybe slightly fresher tomatoes for it to look to look better, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's where we are. It's I think a good place for Manchester United now. Looking ahead, we are going into a Luton game, and I've been listening to people who have not been exactly excited yet by our performances, despite the consistency and the run we've picked. And of course, there will be people who will, and for all the right reasons, honestly, because I mean we've seen this before all season, where we have a very good game and the next game we are the complete opposite. But I think, in all honesty, since the game against Aston Villa, the first leg, that where Højlund scored his first goal, I think since then we've tried we've tried to look consistent. We've tried to be consistent, and of course, not exactly in terms of how we play and playing the best football, but I think we've honestly looked a lot better than we were in the first half of the season. I think we have reason now to believe in what's happening, because every day I feel like the character is built in the team, the cohesion looks more evident. Players get better. Rasmus Højlund is sinking in. You look at players returning from injury, of course, never mind Luke Shaw and Lisandro Martinez, who are away, but Maguire is back. Andronen has picked up. There is lots of positives for us to think that the players have got the confidence now to bully the small teams like Luton that we should be bullying. So that's why, for me, and I've been saying it here several times, that it would be a risky thing for you to even bet on a United game. For those of you who love betting, the real betting, but also there are those of us who do not do the money betting, but just bet verbally with our colleagues in our conversations and all. But either way, it would be difficult for you to predict a United game before. But I think today and yesterday, during our watch along, I think everyone almost predicted the game, that Højlund would score. You can tell now that there is something about this team that's beginning to click. If only these players can stay fit for long, if only they can stay together for long, if only Erik ten Hag can just keep improving them, you feel like it's getting better. And that's why, for me, I've got no doubt or disquiet about what we shall do against Luton. Even if this is a team that has troubled Liverpool, they have troubled Man City, they give Arsenal a huge run for their money. They have been a stubborn team, especially against the top teams. They've got no respect for any team, but I strongly believe they're a team we can beat. So I have no doubt about that. Looking ahead into that game, the other thing I wanted to talk about was Kobbie Mainoo. I honestly, despite knowing that he had beautiful stats, Kobbie, in that game against Aston Villa, I honestly think that was his worst. And let me read for you the stats. Let me read for you Kobbie Mainoo's stats in that Aston Villa game, for you to understand how good. So his game against Aston Villa, his pass accuracy was 85%. He had 52 touches on the ball, passed 4 out of 40, so that is 6 shot. 9 out of 13 final. Third passes completed, 9 in 13. 6 ball recoveries, 4 key passes. This is Kobbie. 4 ground duels won, 3 tackles won, 3 long balls completed. That was Kobbie Mainoo against Aston Villa. Now, those are beautiful stats for any player by all standards. Yet, we all clearly saw that this was not anywhere close to his best games at United. I think it was one of the worst he has played, if not the worst, without a doubt. But I've been trying to think and trying to understand why Kobbie Mainoo is looking like he's beginning to struggle. And I'm thinking, is the age beginning now to play a factor? Has he played one game too many? Is it high time we thought about resting him? And that, I know, could be a huge risk. It's a bold thing to even say, to even think about and imagine that Kobbie can be rested. But you think about that first half especially, and you see even the second half, whereas he tried to step up his game, he was not. I think Mainoo played against Aston Villa at about 60%, 60 or 70% at the very most. So should we start thinking about resting him a bit? Because the boy is 18 and he has come into this club, and Eric Ten Hag spoke about how it's easier to integrate these young kids into a squad that is performing. But this boy came and was playing so well against alongside a bunch of guys who were completely off. Ernest Kavuta, hi brother, how are you? Good to see you. Well, just to remind you, the show has shifted to 10 because the Africa Cup ended. I did not want to start it at 11. I did not want to start it before the AFCON. The Africa Cup ended, so we are back to 10. So just take note of that. So the night show is at 10. But yeah, an hour earlier than it has been. I don't know what time it has been in your time zone. But going back to Kobe Mainu, he had an average game. I think Mainu performed at less than 70%, probably 60 by his standards. And it can't be by mistake. We should be asking ourselves what could be the problem and what could be the solution to whichever problem that could be, because we need to look at these players and predict problems and find solutions early. Kobe Mainu is such an important player that it's so important how we handle him. From the time he returned from his injury, this boy has been so important. We've put a lot of pressure on him as the fans because we are desperate for a good player. We're extremely desperate to have someone who was going to come in and perform well. Now, Kobe Maino comes in, he's only 18, and we put the whole load of a club on him. Imagine the 700 million supporters worldwide, across the globe, all having their faith and hope in an 18-year-old player. He has been playing, even when Eric Ten Hag has substituted him to bring on Scott McTominay. If you recall the game against Nottingham Forest, we've been complaining. We want him to play every minute. Clearly, it was always a matter of time. He's going to start to look tired. I honestly think Kobe Maino was looking like he was running out of legs against Aston Villa. He looked tired. He looked, like he was pushing himself to stay on his feet. So how then do we help such a player so that in the long run we don't lose him? Because that is how injuries start. You recall that at some point when most of our players were getting injured, the complaint was these players were perhaps overworking and they were playing too many games because the squad was narrow because of the injuries. So are we beginning to get to see signs from Kobe that he needs a rest? Will this 1 week before Luton be enough? Can we start thinking of him maybe come and play a few minutes in the starting? Is it the time for us to make that decision that Kobe needs to be in the rotation? But who is that player on the bench to come in? Eriksen is available, but Eriksen does not exactly play the same role as Kobe. So you look at it and you're thinking it's a tight situation for Erik Ten Hag, because I can see that he sees it. And it's not the first time. He's been talking about it. I mean, we've always seen Erik Ten Hag. I actually thought even the game against West Ham, if you recall, he was, I think, was substituted off, but I felt he should have been, again, he had to be substituted off in that game to be rested. So this boy has got to be managed properly. Ernest Kavuta is saying, let's hope Mason Mount will come back stronger. Yes, and he's one guy I also want to talk about in this live, Mason Mount, and how he will fit into this team. I think it's only a good thing for all our players to be fit, and it's a good thing for Erik Ten Hag to have that kind of headache. So I'll leave Kobe Maino at that. I'll talk about him more, I think. But I just wanted to hint it to you that the boy showed us signs that maybe he's beginning to get tired. He has played too much football and he has had quite a lot on him. Now, Mason Mount, let's hope he will come back stronger. Mason Mount, I think, without a doubt, will probably come back strong because, first of all, in terms of how he's a work hardy, I love his work rate when he's on the pitch. I love his hunger. You see that even on his social media platforms where he doesn't disappoint. He's always available online and posting stuff. I mean, he's only 23. He's a young boy, like most of them. He fits into the young team that we're building. I feel like Mason Mount is the kind of player who can be molded into anything Erik Ten Hag wants him to be. And this is why I think he can be an important player for us. The reason why Mason Mount has struggled, of course, is partly because he was not fully fit. Erik Ten Hag revealed that from the second game of the season, he had issues. That is one. But also, I think the fact that he came at a club that was out of sorts, we had no template on which we were playing. who had not discovered ourselves. Erik ten Hag has not figured out what he wanted to do with this team. We were all over the place, all scattered. You did not expect him to fit into what? Because there was nothing exactly, there was nothing clear for a new player to fit into. Erik ten Hag just knew that this is a good player uh, who can be good with transitions, but he did not have a plan, a strategy of how he was going to fit into the disorganization. So Mason Mount came into a disorganization, and there was no way he was going to look disorganized. But now that we are beginning to get the identity and the organization, I think if Erik ten Hag can decentralize roles, and this is the issue why even Mason Mount will have issues, just like Bruno. I've been saying it that I don't think we've seen the best of Bruno under Erik ten Hag because he has been made to play all over the place as if a free role. Bruno plays a free role for Manchester United. Yet you want to have players play defined positions. Let everyone have a responsibility. If Bruno is playing as a number 10, and that's his job, and letting holding midfielders play the holding midfield role, Casemiro and Maino, Bruno will be better. He will be more effective as a number 10. Now, Mason Mount as well, I feel, with his work rate, with his hunger, with his confidence on the ball, he doesn't fear. I think if Erik ten Hag finds a proper position for him to play in that middle, I think he can be an important player for us. I strongly believe he can be an important player for us because I believe he's the kind of player you can mold into anything because of his skills. He has proven that he can have a good shot at goal while he was at Chelsea. He has proven that he can run. He can, put in the yards. He has proven that he's good with transition. He has proven that he's hungry, doesn't fear to face to play with his facing his goal. He's confident with the ball, which for me are good signs and basics of a good player. For me, the issue with Mason Mount is the usage. If we have the template and identity, it will be easier for Erik ten Hag to integrate him into this team, and he will perform. I've got no doubt about that. Joramatic Zimbala is saying, is Luke Shaw injured? So here's the thing with Luke Shaw. And let me even try to see if there is a new update right now as I speak right now. But Luke Shaw's issue is he was substituted off not because he was injured, but Erik ten Hag was taking a precautionary measure on him because of his history with injuries. He said he complained at halftime that he was not feeling okay. So Erik ten Hag and his medical team agreed that they don't want to risk with him. So they decided to pull him off to avoid the worst happening. And the worst would be him becoming injured. So we do not know, and we don't know how long he will be out. He could be out for a week. It could be a month. It could be 2 weeks. So, of course, I think it's only right if we go by history that we start thinking without him, because I think the reality is whenever Luke Shaw has been stretchered off in such, this is not the first time he's magically put off. It's not the first time this is happening, but usually when it happens, he will spend a month or two on the sidelines. So it's okay for us to imagine. We know he's injury prone, so it's okay for us to start thinking without him. And for me, that's why I said that if Luke Shaw is away and injured, I don't want to see Victor Lindelof playing that position. I think Amrabat is better off playing the left back than Victor Lindelof. I think Sofian Amrabat looked good in his first games at Manchester United. There's a cat making noise around here. I don't know who invited it. But yeah, so I think Amrabat will be better off playing left back. I think Amrabat would be better off there in that position. He played well. I think the best football Amrabat has played for United was him playing left back. Honestly, in the first games he played when we were struggling, Amrabat looked comfortable, looked good because of how Erik ten Hag would let him come in. The way Diogo Dalot at times plays right back and keeps cutting inside. Amrabat was doing the same. He was a defender, but he would keep cutting inside, and he was contributing more to the defense. It was a tactical way of playing, but it looked good on him. So maybe if Luke Shaw is not there, which could be the case, and it's yet to be confirmed, like I said, if he's not there, maybe Antonio Malaysia is not there as well. He's not back yet because Malaysia is also on his way back. But again, he will need time to be match fit because he has been away for a longer time. And that's where people are already beginning to say, well, did we rush to send Sergio Reguilon back? Was it a rush decision? Could he have stayed until the end of the season? Maybe it was because we didn't have money to pay him and all. It was maybe a financial decision. But For Dramatic Zimbala, just in case if it makes you feel better, Luke Shaw isn't injured, at least we don't know that yet, but he was put off as a precaution. Precaution because he complained. What he complained about is not something they have revealed to us yet, but I think it's only right for us to think that he could be out for a long time. So that's it with Luke Shaw. So yeah, I think I think that's important. So, but what for me, I wanted you to notice the fact that Kobe Maino is beginning to look fatigued. He's only 18, and you expected that. He has played too much football for his age, and in such a demanding position, in such a demanding role. Holding midfield is such a demanding role, extremely demanding. More so in the setting, in the with the way Eric Ten Hag plays with a single pivot. Imagine when Casemiro wasn't there and it was Kobe sitting behind there alone, covering acres of space by himself, meaning he had to do a lot of running. You saw him sprinting and beating off men, sprinting. He was sort of a box to box holding man. That boy is something. I hope he's protected and he keeps fit because we need him fit for the greater good of Manchester United. So that's where we are as Manchester United. The next game is against Luton. Well, I spoke about that. McTominay, our impact clutch player, our impact substitute clutch player, he's one of the top goal scorers for Man United. The Premier League is our top goal scorer. I think him and Hoyland now. Then Marcus Rashford. He's in his I think zone, and I love the fact that he has accepted the fact that he's not a starter. For the transfers, the hunt for the director of football is on, and it's very serious according to what we get. So Man United is seriously looking for a director of football. Before we think about all these players we are linked with, the likes of Jeremy Frimpong, the likes of Tapsoba, and the Frankie de Jong, and all these players everyone is talking about. I think the first signing we need to make is a director of football, because before that is done, there is no business that's going to be done by Manchester United. Nothing is going to be done by Manchester United until we get a director of football. That's at least according to the new way of doing things. That's the new order. Eric Ten Hag will no longer sit there and think about players he misses, his best friends from Ajax or wherever, and he tells his CEO to sign them. No, this time around it's going to be more of a collective approach of where we want to go, which players we want to come, how we want to play. But what we know is that Eric Ten Hag might be given a contract extension by at least a year. So I think there's a bit of calmness, and you can see even him, he's a bit calm. But to give it up to Eric Ten Hag, I think he has shown a lot of character during the hard times. I think he has shown a lot of character as manager of Manchester United, and I want to give it up to him. I think now the cost is a bit clear now. I think the pressure has eased on him. Of course, it will mount again if we lose against Luton, but I don't think we will. I don't think we should be in that position again now. I think the hard times are a bit behind us. We just now need to be patient with our improvements in terms of how we are performing going forward. But for the top four, I'll talk about top four and the battle again, I think at length tomorrow morning in the morning show at 11. I'll talk more about the top four. I think that will be the biggest conversation we'll be having. How Man United can finish in the top four and whether it's a realistic target for us. Is it something we can achieve really? Or is it wishful thinking really? Are we just getting excited by this small run of good games? What exactly should we really be targeting for realistically? Top four is the goal, but we know that even finishing fifth would get us in the Champions League according to Opta stats. If you look at the numbers, if you do the numbers, we still can be in the Champions League if we finish fifth, but the target is us being among the top four. Quite a few things that people have always wanted to know about. There was a story a few days ago which perhaps did not get enough attention. People are perhaps not so extremely excited about the whole money spending thing and what have you. But Manchester United, the Premier League revealed that United has got the second highest wage bill after Manchester City. Yet we see that in terms of performances, it's almost day and night. Man City has just over 190 million pounds. We have about 180 million pounds in our wage bill. So I was trying to understand how that impacts on where we are and where we want to go. Like we've got Sir Jim and his team coming in, but we still have this wage bill that cannot be that does not correlate with how we perform. And I'm thinking this clearly makes his job cut out. That the first thing he needs to do is to find ways of making sure, and this is for Omar Berada, the CEO, and whoever he reports to, Jean-Claude Blanc and the board. I think it is clear that we need to find ways of making the wage bill make sense, making our wage bill make sense, but be reflective of our performance. How are we going to make sure that the money we earn is commensurate with how we're performing? Is there should be a cohesion between the two. We cannot be spending. Did I say earn the money we spend? We cannot be spending 100, second highest spender of the 20 Premier League clubs, but we are one of the most inconsistent teams in the league. I think it doesn't make sense, and these are the things Sir Jim is expected to sort. And if that is done, and I love that that report came out, I think it makes the job clear for them. They need to cut this wage bill by letting go of players. I see Tyrone Malaysia training on Twitter. I want to understand. I want to understand why. Someone is asking: is Malaysia real or is an imagination? Or did he retire without informing us? I mean, the guy has been out for so long. Really, his injury must have been so bad. But yeah, people are beginning to miss him. But I think he will be back soon. He's, I think, one of the players who are yet to give an interview lately. I think when we see an interview from him, then we'll start celebrating that maybe his return is imminent. But yeah, the unavailable players are Wan Bissaka, Tyrell Malaysia, and Mason Mount. But they are all training on grass. They are training, but their return will be slow. And for Malaysia, I think his integration will take some bit of time, even when he returns, because the reality is his style of play. He plays with a lot of energy, which you have to do if you're going to play left back for United, because you've got to be able to overlap and then sprint back and stuff. So that's why probably their legs eventually get tired. And that's how Eric Ten Hag wants it. But also that's how you're supposed to play as a modern left back. But Malaysia is trending. I see Casemiro is also trending on Twitter. Casemiro, I think, has stepped up his game. He has improved a lot. He won against Aston Villa. These are the stats for Casemiro. He won the most duels, that is 13. The most tackles, that is 9. Most possession won, that is 7. And of course, the dubious one, the most fouls, which was 3. So Casemiro was, like I said, he was one of our better players against Aston Villa. I was only worried after that yellow card, that I think was a light one, that he would get a red card. But I loved how he managed himself after that yellow card and still managed to play the full 90 minutes. And very important in how we were able to manage the game when Aston Villa were coming at us like a tsunami or like a water flow. But yeah, that's us for you. That's United for you. I think in terms of the news, I probably have given it to you. I've probably given it to you. I don't know if you've got any questions for now. I think I'm going to leave it at this for now. I will be back tomorrow morning as we do talk more. 11 a.m. we'll be back to talk about the top 4 race. That's of course a reminder of how the log is standing, the top 6. But we'll talk about that top 4 race and how whether or not Manchester United is in a good position for us to be chasing for it. But we'll look at our next opponents. Look at our next games coming. I think 5 of our next 6 games are games we can win. Really, we've got Everton there. We've got Fulham. We've got Luton next. The one game that might be a hard one is Man City, but I still think we can actually beat Man City at Etihad. After seeing how they played and against Everton, I think Man City are a beatable team, extremely beatable. I think we are in a good place. We are in a good place, and we've got no reason to be worried. Hotspot, My name is Webb, guys. I'll leave it at this for now, and I'll catch you again tomorrow, 11 a.m. Good night.